So, you know who just called me?
No.
That's why I went for the interview. I got a job, baby.
Wow. But now, thinking about it, I feel like I was really hard on him. So, sorry for that.
I feel like you trapped me or you set me up. So I just need her to be honest with me.
You can choose what you want, just like I can choose what I wanted. And I've already told you 100 times I wanted you. So take it or leave it.
From life-changing news to life-changing decisions, there's a lot going on for Greg and Joan and Maddie and Stevie this week, and it's safe to say things are getting intense. Now, let's kick off proceedings with Greg and Joan. So, the last time we saw the pair, Greg's mum had just offered to pay for their wedding. They were understandably touched by such a nice gesture, and when we join them in this episode as they're bathing the dogs, Greg is getting slightly jealous.
Those dogs are the luckiest dogs on the planet. I want to be right there.
You want me like to give you a bath?
Yeah, why the hell not?
Oh, God.
In more action than me these past few days.
And as luck would have it, just as Joan maybe potentially considers giving Greg a bath too, his mum comes out to kill the mood and tell him that his phone has been ringing non-stop. Someone desperately wants to get hold of you, Greg, she says, completely turning a blind eye to the fact that they're using all this water bathing the dogs. Like clearly she doesn't mind the dogs bathing as much as she minds Joan having a shower. Either way, as Greg leaves Joan to finish drying off the dogs, he rushes inside to see who it is. And as it turns out, it is an important phone call.
Yes, this is him? Oh, yes, with New York State.
Lily, come Daisy.
I've been good, man. Just been waiting for this phone call.
Now, seeing as Joan has her hands full trying to stop the dogs from getting away from her, she doesn't actually realise just how important this call is. You see, this is the call that they've been waiting for, one that might decide their lives together. On the other end of the line is the guy that interviewed him for the job he applied for the other day. And as we know, if it turns out that Greg hasn't landed a job in the next couple of weeks, Joan isn't gonna stick around.
You gotta get a real job, you know?
I feel like if you don't get a job, I want to go back to Uganda.
Yeah, there is a lot at stake here. I imagine that Greg's heart is pounding out of his chest right now while he's taking this call. And when he finally ends the call, he now has to break that news one way or the other, whatever it is, to Joan.
So, you know who just called me?
No.
That's why I went for the interview. I got a job, baby.
Way to go, Greg! Well done, congrats! Look at them, they're both overjoyed, they're over the moon. And it really looks like Greg has a huge weight that's just been lifted off his shoulders. Look at them both, like this is more than just relief. In fact, both of them say that this feels like an answered prayer. They can now start planning a life together, a future together, perhaps even a home. But first things first, before Joan maybe gets too carried away and starts to call realtors, Greg plans to whisk her away for a quick trip to New York City. But before they go, first thing on the agenda is to teach her how to speak like a local.
When you're walking through, somebody beeps at you, gotta walk in here.
I'm walking here.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Look at her, she's a very quick learner. Something tells me she's gonna fit right in. Now, going back to the job, just because Greg now has a regular steady income, that doesn't, or at least that shouldn't mean that he can now splash the cash. Let's not forget, he has debts that he needs to pay off, and there's also that small little issue of the dowry that he needs to save up for. But, unfortunately, that appears to be the last thing on Greg's mind right now.
Should I be spending money? No. Should I, be saving for a house? Yes. But you know what, man? It's New York City. We're going.
Now, while Greg definitely does give the appearance of a man that's quite reckless with his money, he definitely doesn't like to save or budget, I think on this occasion we can turn a blind eye. We can let him off. I mean, the guy's celebrating, and let's be honest, one night in the city, in the grand scheme of things, isn't exactly going to make or break their financial situation. The guy's just got a job, he can finally breathe easy knowing that Joan isn't going to be catching a flight home. And the pair of them do need some alone time. Greg is probably hoping for that bath that Joan kind of promised him. Yeah, tonight they deserve a night to just cut loose and enjoy themselves. And as soon as they arrive in the city, they immediately get into the spirit of things.
So the hotel's up here. We're in central parking. Nothing I can do, guys. So,
That, my friends, as we all know, is New York City driving to a T. Now, fortunately, they make it out in one piece, and they can't wait to explore. Remember, Greg is practically a local. I mean, he lives in Long Island, but he worked in New York. He knows the city well. In fact, he's dreamt of showing Joan around for a very long time. And for her part, she's enjoying every second of this tour. She's taking it all in.
this is one of the most iconic places in New York City. See all the flashy lights?
Wow. I feel like I'm going to break my neck. Wow.
Between all of the lights of Times Square, seeing yellow cabs and even getting a slice of New York pizza, Joan's head is spinning. She loves it. She feels like she's in a movie. Both of them are on cloud nine. They're having an epic time, and it feels like they're creating core happy memories.
Like, this is honestly like a dream come true. Like, I can't believe this is really happening right now. You're here in New York eating a freaking New York slice of pizza. We've always just been talking about it.
Look, for all of his faults, and Lord knows he does have them, I think deep down, Greg is a sweet guy. I mean, just look at him. All he wants is to put a smile on Joan's face. Like, it's sweet to see just how excited he gets for her to be experiencing these things. These two have been stressed out since practically the moment that Joan landed. So it is nice, it is a relief to see them like this, see how they are as a couple when they're more relaxed. And let's just say, Greg is keen to make the most of this.
Let's go back to the hotel. Let's continue to rock your world, right?
Oh, can't wait. I just needed this time to just get out of the house, just to be us without your mom.
Sharing their living space hasn't been easy. Both of them are just excited for alone time. And as Greg says, this isn't even about making love. It's nice just to be able to be affectionate together without the fear of my mum judging us. I want to just be able to cuddle her, hold her without any interruptions. Hopefully, now that he's got this job, that's something that they're going to be able to do a lot more often once they get their own home. But for now, when they arrive at their hotel room, it's very clear that Greg has made a real effort here.
Wow, when did you do this?
You like it?
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Again, I find it very difficult to dislike Greg. This just once again reiterates all the good, all the super thoughtful, romantic aspects of his personality. Traits that, heaven knows, a lot of couples on this show over recent years have been severely lacking. I mean, he is going out of his way to make this a special romantic evening. And in fact, seeing how hard he's trying starts to make Joan feel a little guilty. She begins to question whether she did the right thing by giving him an ultimatum. Don't get me wrong, she's happy that he's got a job, but she feels a bit bad that she threatened to go home.
But now, thinking about it, I feel like I was really hard on him. So, sorry for that.
Joan says that all she wants is for them to have a happy, good, stable future together. And while maybe she was a little harsh on Greg, I think, at least from what I've seen, that was exactly what he needed. He needed that kind of tough love. Without that ultimatum, without that push, I don't think he would have landed a job quite so soon. He didn't exactly seem too worried about his employment, did he? Now, hopefully, this will not only be the start of Greg's professional career, but also the start of a great future together.
All right, you guys gotta go. Get out of here. Shoo, you ain't gotta go home, but you can't stay here, all right? Get out of here.
And with that, we leave Greg and Joan to catch up with a couple who are feeling way less romantic. So the last time we saw Stevi and Mahdi was as they were being shown around their wedding venue, and Stevie's best friend had just let slip that Stevi had painted her nude in person. Mahdi was horrified, and once again it led to him questioning whether or not Stevi is bisexual. And when we join them in this episode, things are still very tense.
This is the very first time that something is like a total problem to me, but it's super okay for her.
Now here's the thing. Forget sexuality for a minute, right? Everything about his new life in America has Mahdi feeling like a fish out of water. This is everything is new to him, from the small things like seeing an American flag to living with a cat, to seeing all of these nude female paintings on his walls. Like, the guy is seriously uncomfortable. But you know what could help with that? You know what wouldn't cost anything to do? Stevi could just reassure the guy. She could give him a straight answer. Like, either she is or she isn't bisexual. It's really not that hard. Give the guy an answer and put him out of his misery. Let him deal with it if he needs to deal with it. But, unfortunately, the problem is that Stevi just doesn't feel like she needs to. So, as a result, once again, they find themselves at a stalemate.
But in this situation, I don't feel like I did anything wrong, so it's a little bit harder for me to apologize for something that I don't feel like I did anything.
Stevi doesn't feel like she's done anything wrong, but Mahdi says that he feels betrayed. You didn't tell me the whole truth, he says, and that worries me because I don't know what else you're hiding. Now, for all the very obvious tension between them, there is at least a glimmer of good news. Mahdi does at least appear to be warming to Stevi's cat. But, for as great as that might be, it's still not enough to fight against the feelings of betrayal that he feels.
I feel like you trapped me or you set me up, so I just need her to be honest with me.
Exactly. I mean, Mahdi says that even if he doesn't like the answer, he'd prefer to know the truth. He wants to know before they get married. It's hardly an unreasonable request. It's not an unreasonable stance, is it? But as it turns out, Mahdi might actually get what he wants, because when Stevi arrives home after going to get each of them a smoothie, she asks Mahdi to join her for a walk. We need to get to the bottom of our issues, she says.
Even though Mahdi was growing up in a really conservative household, he's always been very open-minded. So I'm just really surprised that he's so hung up on this whole sexuality concept.
Stevi's stance is very clear. She says that her paintings celebrate women's bodies. Painting isn't something that I'm ever going to stop, she says, and if Mahdi doesn't understand that, I don't know if we can have a future together. If he's prepared to leave me over paintings, then he's not the man I thought he was. He's clearly not worth me anyway.
We're getting married in 2 weeks, and he either needs to trust me or leave me, because I'm not going to have this hanging over my head for the rest of my life.
Stevi wants Mahdi to trust her, but he says he needs answers first. He needs her to stop dodging his question and give him a straight answer as to whether or not she's bisexual. So, for one last time, this is the last time I'm ever going to ask this, he says. Tell me yes or no, are you bi? And at long last, finally, Stevi gives him what he wants.
So you're not gonna say yes or no, right?
I could say no, but if I say no, then you're just going to make assumptions anyway, and that's just going to be a continuous
No,
argument.
when you say no,
So
I'm not.
no.
Now here's the problem. Despite literally just saying that all he wants is a direct answer, he'd be satisfied with a direct answer, Mahdi still isn't happy with her no. He doesn't believe her. He doesn't like how bothered she sounds. His gut instinct is that his fiancée is still hiding something from him. So he tries a different approach. What if the shoe was on the other foot, he asks. Wouldn't you want to know if I had other sexual desires? And to that, Stevi agrees that she would want to know. But, she says, if there was something like that with me, if that were the case with me, I'd tell you about it. Why don't you trust me?
Don't you think I would talk to you about it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
would.
that's
but I
it.
don't have anything to talk to you about right now.
I don't want it to be after our wedding.
There's nothing.
I don't want
anything but you. I don't.
Oh, is that a figure of speech? Or is that right now that she added to that sentence a future cause for concern for Mahdi? Perhaps it's innocent, perhaps it's nothing more than a poor choice of words, but I can understand why that might scare Mahdi. Now, while Mahdi still clearly has this lingering doubt, while he wants them to lay all of their cards out on the table, Stevi, by contrast, wants him to let this go. We can't keep going round in circles, she says. We can't keep having this fight every time I want to paint someone. You have to believe me when I say that you're enough for me.
I just want to be enough forever.
You're not going to get anything more out of me other than me saying that I love you and I want to be with you, and that's it.
Mahdi wants reassurance that he'll be enough forever. But here's the thing, isn't that precisely what marriage is? Marriage is a contract, it's a promise to love and to hold, for better or for worse. It's a promise to love each other, care for each other forever. I mean, assuming she's taking those vows seriously, what more can she do? What more proof can she give him? But unfortunately, Mahdi does want more. He's still not convinced. In fact, he goes on to say that Stevi's behaviour today is suspicious. Normally when Stevi wants to convince me of something, he says, she'll insist, she'll promise things. This time she didn't do that. But, Mahdi, the question is, even had she done that, would you have believed her? Whatever the truth, Stevi has now had enough. Either trust her or don't, the ball is now well and truly in Mahdi's court.
You can choose what you want, just like I can choose what I wanted, and I've already told you 100 times I wanted you. So, take it or leave it.